international site. So if you have an international site, you're going to have universal navigation. But most sites are going to have global, local, utility, supplemental, and contextual. And I want you to put a star by contextual and supplemental. So in order to go to a narrow and deep navigation and make it successful, A, you have to have a labeling system that validates users' information sent. And B, you've got to give them multiple ways to access that. So having that in supplemental navigation and having it in contextual navigation will help solve the narrow issue. So I'm just showing you what this tends to look like and where people expect to see things on desktop. And this is where people expect to see things on mobile. So supplemental navigation, what do I mean by supplemental navigation? Think sitemap, site index, and guides. So the bigger your site, the more you're going to need guides. And the bigger your site, I would say having a site index is more effective than having a sitemap. And by sitemap, I mean a wayfinder sitemap. In fact, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when I walked in this morning, I had no idea where I was going. I said, where are the wayfinders? The wayfinder guy didn't arrive yet. That's why I couldn't find where this was. So here's the Center for Disease Control. Now, this I would bookmark. They do an excellent job. I would make it's clearly female, but I would make those letters a little bit bigger. And that A to Z list, but they do a lot of things really, really well. So ABCs, they spell out what it means. Abdominal aortic aneurysm, C aortic aneurysm. So they spell things out. Abuse child, C child maltreatment, and under C, it'll say child abuse. That's called term rotation. What happens when you do this? You get a lot of words in there and you get people to the right place. And think about it, if people are clicking on a link to a sitemap or a site index, that's also a big clue that they're lost. So if you make a really good site index, that'll really help people not get lost. And then what I tell people is, how can I suggest a new entry? And you'd be surprised. There's a lot of swearing in what they suggest in entries, but it really depends on the company. So spell out abbreviations. Vegetables, seafood, tomatoes. This one's a good one. Cross-referencing for abbreviations, okay? Who knows this? We know Mancow disease. So that is an example. Implements term rotation if you're doing departments, so like in a hospital. I will do term rotation for, if somebody's cardiologist. So people don't know that cardiologists aren't vein specialists and vein specialists aren't necessarily cardiologists. So this is a really good place for cross-referencing. And it's imperative on a sitemap and a site index that you indicate visited and unvisited link status. Because it really aggravates users when they keep clicking and they keep going in circles. They don't trust your site and they abandon your site. And so remember how I said useful, so guides are very useful for people. And guides can come in all shapes and forms. Believe it or not, on an e-commerce site, showing the brands. So this is Saks Fifth Avenue, and this is what not to do. It's really easy to find what not to do. People just look at it, and what do you think they did? No, they left. They can't. What the big thing is, what am I supposed to click? Or what am I supposed to tap? Sorry. They just didn't know what to do. And so all I said is, you know, you don't have to make it blue, but make it look like it's tappable. And if you don't have you don't gray it out. Be careful with gray. Boom, boom, boom. And another thing to know about mobile is, you know, you want a strong color contrast, but you don't want the background. So white background, black text is the strongest color contrast, but that also causes eye strain. So if you're doing that design, you might want to change the color to a little off-white so it's less stressful on the eyes. So this change, just this one change, made a huge difference. And then doing visited and unvisited link status. You know, also said, okay, you can add an underline or you can just make it blue. We don't want to make it blue. Okay, then just put an underline on it. And then people will know what they clicked and what they did not click. So brands would be a type of guide. Guide to selecting a home entertainment system. Guide to, you know, how do you install a speaker? Is it on the ceiling? Is it on the wall? Is it on the floor? People like guides. All right. One of the things that's imperative is contextual linking, but the problem with the phone is if you put too many contextual links on a page, it's overwhelming. Have you ever seen Wikipedia on a mobile phone? It's a friggin' disaster because there's too many inline text links, and inline text links tend to have the most context. They tend to have the most information sent. So people really want to click on these or tap on these. So what I do also is I look at the orientation. I look at the vertical as well as the horizontal to see what people are doing. What I'm looking for is readability. Do they read it? Can they understand it? And interference errors are our tap targets too close together? Is the tap target or the swipe target large enough? So that tells me I have to be very careful about how I do my contextual links. So simple contextual link on an e-commerce site, complete this outfit. Or frequently bought together. On Christmas, what I tell a lot of stores to do is maybe it's not quite what a person wants, maybe that size isn't available. What is the next closest black blazer? And then you get a higher turnover. Think about this for Mother's Day. Mother's Day, big holiday. And inline text links, like I said, tend to be weighted very heavily, not just in search engines, but also for users because they have the highest scent. Even though this, is well over 10 years old, I still find it's true. You have to be careful about the 7 to 12 words because, again, on a phone that could be overwhelming. So you'll have to be selective about what you want to use as text link. So that don't use too many text links, and that's why I use Wikipedia. This one's okay. This tap target's too small. We saw a lot of errors, so they're in this style sheet. They needed to fix the spacing, and they also needed to have a larger typeface for the caption. So Wikipedia needs help, people, on mobile. So that's why I use them. I want to show bad examples. The other thing you also have to watch out for is using things like read more. What do you want people to click or tap? You want them to click this. You have to be careful about people when they're using their thumbs, because if you don't put a gutter here and a gutter here, they might accidentally tap this. So it really depends if these are needed. The reason that, remember, can I eat it? Picture. Can I have sex with it? Or it's a doctor, so it would be safety. I'm not kidding you. So how would you change this? So I would, for a mobile device, I get rid of the read mores. I would not make these clickable, these images clickable, because they have the context, they have the alternative text, and if you've written a good headline, and if you've written a good annotation, the context is right there. And you'll save a lot of space. You get rid of the read mores, and I would also make this look more clickable. I don't like to use black as a link color. I just don't. I find that people tend to respond to a shade of blue. So like color.adobe.com, if you can use that, you can find a shade of blue or something. It doesn't have to be blue. Just be consistent about how you use it.
So are you saying that this is to go back to adding the logo in the headline as well?
Always in the headline, it has the strongest information set. If you can't get keywords or the information set, I call them keywords as a search person. If you can't get keywords here, so like what happens? So they used RA, but they spelled out rheumatoid arthritis here. So what you can do is when people land on this page, you can make this the H1 heading, and then I do something called a subject or a content tagline. And then for those of you who are programmers, you can program this in so that the information set, when you click on it, validated right away.
So my next question is, over time, best practice can change.
Yeah.
And you're told not to use underline for minutes.
You don't have to.
So how do you convince someone that that's the best option?
You just have to be consistent about visited, unvisited link colors. And I tend to make the inline text links a unique color. So it wouldn't be the same as your navigation at the top, your navigation at the bottom, and your hamburger menu when it opens up. Some people don't like it, and I understand, because it might look more elegant to have this nice color scheme. But what's the goal of an e-commerce site or a B2B site? It's to make money. So if they're not clicking, you're not making money. And it's a style sheet change. You just make a style sheet so you can test these colors. So, and people learn, as long as you're consistent, people learn and they learn quickly, so they won't click on this. So if you're going to make this clickable, just make sure there's a gutter, because we get a lot of accidental taps with this. So, and like I said, can I eat it? Will it eat me? Can I have sex with it? It really, I didn't believe Dr. Weincheck, but she helped me a lot. So have you ever heard of Varvy? So there's Varvy and there's Google's mobile friendly. What I like to do is use all three and compare them. Because Varvy might tell me the tap targets are too small, and Bing might tell me the tap targets are perfect, and Google might say the tap targets are perfect. But if I'm getting an indication that a tap target is too small, I might just make just a style sheet adjustment and make it bigger. So these are things that I think about as a developer, because I just want to make a style sheet change. I don't want to have to redo everything. So this is just a tool, and it convinces people, oh look, this isn't what we have to change it. So I do use these tools. All right. Logo, honest to goodness, goes in the upper right-hand corner or left-hand corner. It makes a huge difference. So this is what you want, and this is the reason that you want it this way, is that What do you want people to do? What's the number one thing people do on a mobile site? They navigate. So why do you put it in the hardest place for people to navigate? Move it over here. It's that simple. And I see this mistake all the time. And Liz Warren did a study on it. So if you need support, they did a study on it, and so I think the logo goes there.
Yeah.
So this is what you want. Logo, you're gonna do the language, menu, search. That's what you want. Yep.
So, this is somewhat of a big question. How do you change all this for left-handed users?
You like my sister?
Like me?
There is a lot of research on left-handed users. So I will get everybody their stuff. I'll get you the research on the left-handed users. Just remind me.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't think you're being a smart aleck, but when my sister said it to me, I'm like, you're just being a smart ass. There are a lot of left-handed users.
That chart with the tappability, the thumb,
Yeah.
just reminded me of it because I see that a lot and a lot of people pay attention to it and it's always backwards for me. So I always have to remind myself to change my mindset essentially for a right-handed use.
Oh, exactly.
Because it is, the vast majority is right.
Exactly. And my sister happens to be left-handed. So she likes to rib me on my interfaces. You need to do it for a left-hand person. Well, the majority of your users are right-hand person. Well, I think you're evil. So, Mayo Clinic does a good job. And I'll tell you something, Mayo Clinic's got a huge information architecture, a good group of information architects. So there's a lot of things they do for navigation that's really done well. So jump links is another thing that increases information sent. So you all know what jump links are. Links at the top of the page. If you do an accordion, make sure you have expand all and collapse all. That drives people crazy because sometimes if they only want a quick fact, that's when the accordion's really handy because they can just click on the answer to their question and boom, they're gone. But there are people, especially if the products or the services that you're offering are expensive, people are going to do more research. So to make it easier for people to use an accordion menu, expand all and collapse all. Always have that for mobile. Those tiny little things, they just build trust and credibility. So these jump links are really important. Table of contents, information sent, engagement. So they're big on mobile. So use jump links. All right, here's what to do and what not to do. All right, so we're back to Wikipedia. You know it's a what not to do. So they have a table of contents. Now, all they need to do for mobile is to spread this out a little more. That's really all they need to do. But what did Wikipedia do? They got rid of contents. I've offered to help Wikipedia, considering that Encyclopedia Britannica and Merriam-Webster are my clients. I think I know a lot about encyclopedias. So here's another thing to watch out for. My computer's a little slow here. When you're doing any kind of heading, so an H1A, now you're going too fast. Okay, Evil Wikipedia. Okay. This next one is a division of WebMD. It's called Medicine That actually has, it's doing it again. Let's try the mouse. Okay, so when you're doing, so definitely do H1 through H5, and just have a default. The less style attributes you have on it, the easier it is for users on mobile. So have H1 through H5 left align, because that's how people read. What you don't want is a heading to look like a button. So what happens when people see the table of contents? What do? They tap it. And actually, that's what they do. And then they swear. I'm actually, because I'm a search expert, I actually have done a test participant at major search engines. And it is so funny to watch myself on video. And I got to watch my language too. Now this is actually very well done. And I'm showing you on a desktop or a laptop, just so you can see on this page, in this article. What I would definitely do is I would have either an intro paragraph, or remember I showed you that annotation, a subject tagline. So on mobile, you want this to appear at the top. You know, this all becomes hamburger. You want this to appear at the top so people know they're on the right page. And then also what will happen when this goes into mobile, the key points, you can see it on a desktop and a tablet, and this will just go down underneath. So it'll neatly summarizes what's on the page. So this is actually a good layout. It's not there anymore though. That's why we have to grab a screenshot. Yeah.
Since they don't have so many labels, do they have also use the last name? So that
Yes.
might be different. I feel like probably have more, well, a lot of
What I find is 7 to 12.
Okay.
Minimum of 3, maximum of 16. That's what I tend to find with people. But this one was important also because of the image. So this was very well done. It's unfortunate, like I said, that it doesn't exist anymore. So that was done. This was also well done. And it's a government website. My God. H1, intro, what's on this page, jump links, notice if they spelled out. You can clearly tell this is a heading. And contextual links, so very, very strong. So this was very well done. I think the only thing I would change is the readability for this. Not very good. And there it is, menu. Right. Did I answer your question? That's
Yes.
how you fix narrowing. The last thing you have to do, make sure we have time, is have an effective labeling system. So there are 3 types of labeling systems on our website. Document labels, content labels, and navigation labels. So we covered navigation labels in with the different types of usability tests. And something I also remember I had to do, we actually had to do this for a site, is some people's navigation labels are rather wordy. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't look right in a menu. So what I try to do is keep those longer words for the content labels and have them slightly overlap. And then just test to see what the minimum number of characters that people will respond to. It's just ongoing. Usability and findability are just an ongoing process. And then you just get used to it. So document and content labels. So content labels, we're looking at headings, subheadings, subject taglines or content taglines, and captions. So I tend to have, in a content management system, I will have a video caption, and I will also have a image caption if needed. So if I have a feature image, I might want to have a caption. I might want to have a video heading, and I might want to have an image heading as well. If my target audience uses Instagram and will want to put the Instagram social media icon next to the image, if YouTube, I will want to put the YouTube icon next to the video. SlideShare is something that academics tend to use. So this is an older version of Mayo Clinic. I do Mayo Clinic's competitor, so I've monitored them for years, and they do a good job with their labeling system. You know, there's only, this is the one thing I would change, definition. People want to know that, and then they expect to see a reference page. So I would definitely do H1, H2. And what did they do? That was really good. So you don't want the H1 and the title to be identical. You want them to be similar, but not identical. So notice at the top, they have influenza. What do we know it as patient's flu. And they have mayoclinic.com. What would be a better title? Mayo Clinic. 2 different words. So they wouldn't put that here. So I would put the company name, or the organization name, at the beginning in the About section, or in the News section. But in other sections of the site, I would put it at the end. There are exceptions. I find that when Sears was good, Sears has a lot of brands, so the brand name became more important, and we would have to put that at the beginning of the heading tag as opposed to the end. So this is a what not to do on mobile. Why? Okay, first of all,
No caption.
that's exactly it.
So I'll say you're going to spell.
Where is the navigation? And what's at the top of the page? Designer, coder, thinker. That one. So how would you change that? But there's something, all this person has to do is move something. Well, of course, the hamburger menu.
Move their title.
Move it up there. That's it. And it would be a million times better. He said UI, so what would you do here? Tell them. So what if you put user interface up here? Then you put UI here. What does that do? It validates information sent. And if you use this as, when we were looking at that medical page, I mean, is it, can I eat it? Will it eat me? Can I have sex with it? I would make it smaller. I think Mr. Linker, a good plan to do a little less. Now, Nielsen Norman Group does this, but keep in mind they're academic and I'm an academic, so I like that they do a summary. So they put the H1, they put the summary, and notice how these are spaced far apart. So when you go look at these on the mobile site, these articles, even though some of them are long, are very, very easy to read. If this were a long article, then I would definitely put an accordion menu, or I would put a bulleted list menu. So this man is brilliant. I have taken classes with him, and I quote him a lot. One of the most important things to do is something called front loading. And that means moving keywords to the front of titles or the keywords to the front of headings. And it does increase the likelihood that things that will get noticed. Why? How do we read? Left to right. All right. So in Japanese, they read this way. So it's very different how you would do a Japanese or a Chinese website. So you have to understand how people read things, and that's where you place things, because they might not read the entire heading. So the other thing I try to do, and this is why I like to use subject taglines, is that sometimes a heading is enticing without a keyword, and especially on news sites or social media sites. So something's really, really attractive. So what you can do is do the attractive heading, but put directly underneath it, either in an intro paragraph or a subject tagline that gets the keywords in, but it has that enticing heading. So they're still at the top of the page, and it validates users' information sent. So this tells you the number of pixels that people read. It's a very useful study. So document headings. Now these are really important for search engines. So they're looking for the title, because the title tends to appear in search results, and the URL. Now, sometimes you have a content management system that just sucks, okay? And what Mayo Clinic did was very good with their URL, and I'm going to give you the URL guidelines, is they put what I would call the funky stuff. Nobody knows what DS 000, whatever. But what are people reading first? The most important stuff. So front loading your URLs is really important, and it's really important on AMP too. It's got a limited amount of space. So one of the things I like to do, so if you're using WordPress, the best WordPress to use is something called Genesis. It got rid of all the crappy scripts, crappy jQueries. It's a nice, clean template. It's only like $60. It's the best WordPress basic site that you can build a good solid CSS with. So I would recommend that if you're doing a blog or something like that. But so one of the things I like to do is take out stop words. So and, but, or, nor, for, the. I will of course leave that here because you don't want nonsense here. But you don't need and, but, or, for, nor, the here unless, without. It's a word that I would leave in the URL. You want the shortest URL that communicates aboutness. So you know what I actually do? I will put a blank page or a blank screen, and I will only show the title and the URL, and I ask people, what is this page about? What do you believe this page is about? And if they don't get it right, I know that the document labels aren't as effective as they could be. I also will show a mobile screen and ask people, what is this about? If they don't mention your most important words, then it's not a good interface. So this is what they did. This is the same page, but it's on mobile. So hamburger menu. This is, I wanted to kill Smash Magazine when they changed this. I'm like, you guys, you did it really, really well. Logo, where it should be, search icon, menu. What I liked about this is that menu was a little bit bigger than the search icon because that's what people do on a mobile site. And perfect. They're far enough apart. And this is pretty big, but a lot of people didn't go down here. They just looked here. And then the X, same size, click the X, and then it closes. So that was very well done. If you're doing search, open it on a second line. That way you can get your 27 to 30 characters in here, do the same thing with the X. Yeah, I would, they don't need it that big. This is okay, because there's a lot of white space in here, but the goal is try not to use crown text. So, glad I saved this, because they changed it, and they messed it up. All right. I did Groupon's competitor, so I can't tell you who it is, so I'm just using Groupon as the example. So, before and after. Okay. This is what the other thing I like to do. I can actually send this to you. I have, these are actually sizes of fingers. So do you guys use Photoshop? All right, so if I upload a ping, you're not gonna have any problem. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll have a man's finger, a woman's finger, just something in between, and I'll overlay and see if there are interference errors. So this is big enough, but these are too close together, and yeah. So what did we do to fix it? They wanted the center aligned. That's all we did. Made the search bigger, we put a border around it. Left hand. It's very effective to take, here's the size of the finger and just show them. They're too close together.
Which fingerprint is that?
So women.
Women? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Like what a man's.
Man's would be around 50, in the 50 pixels area. Women would be around 45 to 48. I will upload all of the finger sizes for you and how far apart they should be. In other words, I'm going to give you Facebook's training materials. We need good designers, and I'm all for it. I'm really glad you guys are here, because it shows that I think Kent State's got the best UX program in the country. That's why I like coming here.
Can we get a quote?
Yes, you can. And look at this. All that for you, this is the summary. Okay, so these are the Chrome plugins that I like to use. This is really good because it switches user agents. So you can see what it looks like on an Android, different versions of iPhone, what it looks like on a tablet. If you're working on a site like QVC or the Home Shopping Network, TV is where people are seeing things, or if they see something on a commercial, where do they go? Tablet usage is actually very heavy. So I want to look at things on a tablet. I also like to see things, different window resizing, horizontal and vertical. So I find these are really handy for me as a designer.
Shari, do you, are these plugins now good enough that they will reflect the actual device, or do we still need to test with the actual device?
Oh, always, it's always best quality. This is quantitative. You need qualitative and quantitative. Techie people tend to focus on quantitative, and I had to get over that because I started out as in 1995. I started out as a designer and a developer, and it wasn't until 2002 that I had the epiphany that I am not the user. And thank goodness for that. And
At least you realize it.
oh yeah, and it's because Dr. Susan Weinschenk, and like I said, she's the same height as my mother. There's just something about people that are the same height as my mother that they have an effect on me. So, which means 5'1". And she's brilliant. And I remember when I did my first usability test, it was for high-end clothing, so it was a big brand. And, they are so concerned about their image, but the task completion is abysmal because they're so focused on their image. And you guys, especially on a smaller screen, that screen real estate is so valuable. We can still make it look elegant, but let's just change one thing at a time and let's see if it's better. So step 1 is better than step 0. And besides, people are funny. They really, really are. And like I said, it's really funny to watch myself on video because, people say, this is what I would do, and then they don't do it. So watching myself on video, I saw that I did the same thing. So it's good to observe, and it's good to learn from other people. So I learned from other people in the beginning, gradually getting to the point where I could be the facilitator. So switching roles is a good idea too. I like the designers and developers, UI people, to watch the test. So I try to find a test that's easy. So the tap or the swipe affordance test, circle everything you believe that's tappable, circle everything that you believe is not tappable. That's an easy test. 5-second usability test, that's an easy test. Expectancy test, what do you expect to see if you click on this link? What do you expect to see if you click on this link? Why? They front loaded it. Yeah, I know. It's Google, come on. Okay, same thing. So you see these things over and over. So if you do a labeling system for pages, for images, any kind of file, set up your style sheets so that you can change things quickly and easily. I find having that base style sheet, that's why I like Genesis so much, is critical for sustainability. And also, you can convince the higher ups because you made the change quickly. So you don't want to do what that medical site did that said explore. And then all of a sudden, you have to see their trap. It just but they were able to get it up within 6 months. But they had like 10 million pages on their website. So it was no small task. So I would show you these Chrome plugins, but like I said, my 2-year-old in East London did this with my man here. I love her. Have you ever been to this site?
Yes.
I use this site all the time for mobile because you need a strong color contrast for readability and legibility. And again, this is something I would put in a style sheet. So large text, this is what you're looking for headings. Normal text is your other stuff, 14, 16 pixels per point is usually the standard. The other thing I like to do is a grayscale tool. Because if people can't tell by the late, so if you get rid of the color, if people, number one of this tells you the color contrast is strong enough, but if people can't tell what page am I on, how do I find unclaimed money the government owes me? Now that's a good one to put at the top. And what did they do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's about right. Find all topics and services. Where does that lead you? To a guide. And it's a button. It's button looking. So, yeah, this was actually very well done. Espanol for kids, strong enough color contrast. So I like to show people this because readability, if they can't read it, they're going to abandon. It's just that simple. I don't care how pretty it is. Pretty disappears very fast if they're going, or they're yelling into their phones. I hear that a lot. Sometimes I think they're yelling at me. This is a great book because visual design, it was written in 1994, but I would say for your team of young people, you have to put a visual, like call to action. What's call to action 1? You shouldn't hesitate. For every page, what's call to action 1? Okay, people aren't going to do it. What's call to action 2? People aren't going to do that. What's call to action 3? Your visual interface should reflect what you want people to do. Because if you don't tell people what you want them to do, they're not going to do it. This is just a really, really good book. And that's in my coveted bookshelf.
The principles have not changed that much, like 1994 was a while ago.
See, that's the mentality that people have.
Okay.
Focus on principles.
Okay.
Yes, some things will change, but the principles tend to stay the same. And I have yet to read, I'm a voracious reader. I've been a voracious reader since I've been this high. I mean, I honestly, I told somebody this morning, when I was a little girl, I would take my little red wagon, I would go to the library, load it up with books, go home, read all the books, and go back to the library and return. And I did this every day. And my mother, my mom and dad, when they would punish me, they took away my library card. And it's the absolute truth. So I haven't found anything better for visual design. So the fundamentals are really good in this book. The other book for interaction design, I'm sure you guys have read About Face. And Alan Cooper is a hoot. I actually take classes from Cooper. One of their best classes is by Kim Goodwin on scenarios. How do you set up scenarios? Kim Goodwin. So I follow her on Twitter. I follow Alan Cooper on Twitter too. This is absolutely wonderful for interaction design. Yes, you can get the digital version. Like when I travel, it's easier for me to take the digital version with me. I have, those little sticky flags. This is awesome. And actually, that's my PhD work, is user interfaces, specifically search. That's what I do. So search, if you want your search to work well, you have to provide access to it and have a good labeling system. And your search results are more accurate. So I would definitely recommend getting these. And yay! The end. No! Do you guys have any questions? And if you have questions, just ask. Shari, just say Kent State, I don't know who you are. I have to speak at a conference in a couple weeks, but then I'm going to be in my office for a while. My dad passed away. So I am going to stay near home for a little while. So bibliography, you got it. When you think of anything else that you would find useful, I know you cannot have my entire hard drive.
I have a random question.
Sure.
Where are you getting your information?
Library and Information Sciences, University of Illinois, but my academic advisor told me I would be better off at MIT or Stanford. And I laughed at that because founders of Google dropped out of Stanford. And another friend told me that I probably do really well going to a foreign country. My academic advisor is British. He said we should look at the British universities and see about, because your challenge wouldn't be the academic work, your challenge would be communicating to a different audience.
seeing how all those fundamentals carry over.
And they are different in different countries, so, it's obviously I could take time off because my dad passed away. I'll finish my PhD whenever. But it was library and information sciences, user interfaces, search interfaces. And I still have a guest lecturer at the university. I stay in contact with both my academic advisor and my dean. They're very nice people. When I do, in fact, I just approved an article on collaborative search because that's something Google, Yahoo, and Bing and all those other search engines can't tell. What if something's a group of people doing research together? They don't know. So my academic advisor, he specializes in collaborative search. So the article didn't cite any of his work, so I made sure his work is included in the bibliography. So I'm very much into academia, but I'm also very much in the business world, and I like both. But Kent State has a better UX program than there's no question in my mind. Kent State. Right.
Well, it's on the live stream.
Yeah, baby.
I thought she was-
I'm sorry. I love you guys. But Kent State really does have the best UX program in the United States, in my opinion. I'm not embarrassed to say that. Well, any other questions?
Can I ask you a specific question?
Sure.
We were talking about page titles and headings.
Mhm.
What I wrote down, I'm not sure is right. So I'll just ask you, where should the company name go in relation to the topic of the page?
If it's the about section or the news section, I would front load the company name and the brand.
Okay.
If it's somewhere other page, I would not front load with the company name. I would end it with the company name and the title.
Okay. Thank you.
When you say news, you mean news and blog, or just news?
They're both, they're the same category, news and blog. So, and also if you have a very, very, very strong brand. So, tools, for example, have very strong brands. So I might do a brand section, you saw the Wayfinder for brands. So I make sure that brand would be at the front. It might not be the first word, but it might be in the first 4 words. And by the way, the more you do this, the better you get at it. And I like tools. My dad was a carpenter, so I have all of his tools. So my sister cannot have a chainsaw. That's mine. She already has drills, so. All right. Any other questions? So if you have a question, just email me. I will answer it. If you have something that's related to search, wait till I get back from the search conference because I know Google's doing a big update on the search console. So that would be the quantitative data that you would want to know. And if you have a target audience that I might know something about, just ask. I just can't tell you the company name, but I can give you some guidelines. And I will upload this, and you guys will be able to click all these, do all these stuff. So do something really funny, guys. Being videotaped.
It's up to you. Pressure's
You're
on
close.
you.
All right, what else can my sister not have? Oh, wow. Dad has a really good saw. What's it called? It's the same. Yeah! It's in my garage, and it's staying in the garage. She's babysitting my cat. Sister, don't watch this. My sister and I get along very well. She's got very different talents. She's actually a hairdresser and an electrician.
Get it to stand up and cut it down.
Yeah. So it's lunchtime. Thank you guys. I hope this helped. Like I said, I hope I answered your questions. And happy World IA Day, everybody.
Thank you.
That's fine, I never want my camera.
Right, it'll be a word.
Yeah. If I wanted to be on camera, I would have gone into an entirely different line. Right. Fox lunch, yeah. Same thing we had at the Web Association meeting. Yes. Yeah,
I feel you, man. I feel you. They want much more. How accurate was it?
I just gave all the compliments.
okay. So it wasn't like, yeah, I feel like that might be coming, you know, maybe in the future we'll get like, yeah.
I missed my.
I'm gonna walk behind the camera and then
Things that half the population don't think about.
right.
Hello.
Maybe because I haven't sat in lectures for a while.
Oh, you did? Hey. I'm trying to have you wait, because I still want to come by and bring you that Monday. Okay, when you get back, give me a call, so then I know to come by. Okay?
You got, what you do is a pilot test, and what all you're trying to do is find out where your target audience is. So like I find out, like mom's Facebook. The coupons, hands down. So, and some Twitter, but Facebook, so that told me the order that I put in social media and on the page. What you do is get a small budget, do a pilot test, measure ROI, and see the resources that you have. Because paid is something, it's a different animal, and it's really detailed, day partying, A/B testing, and all that stuff. The thing is too, if you get, I learned this, it was in a new paper that was just published, that if you get the wrong social media, people don't trust you. So like if you are putting every single social media icon across, they don't trust you as much. The ones,
that are geared towards.
yeah.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, because I was thinking, if there was a try before you buy it, maybe, I might think of it. I didn't know if it was just, a lot of people say they have success with it, but then again, like, really getting these people just kind of look at it and go, oh, it just popped up, I think, you want to stay and,
Actually buy stuff. It also depends on the price. So,
yeah, well, I have to work on the prices. I think that's what I'm getting on it. Because I'm getting to start, because I have to buy them $200. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm getting track of the prices, right? Fair enough.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just wondering about it. Sometimes big Facebook person, I don't really, I guess I need to be business, but I don't interact.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. So,
So, I mean, everybody's my friend.
Facebook and Twitter, those are the two, let's drive.
for coupon.
Like for selling products,
Yeah.
because I mean, like, let go,
Well, it depends too. Facebook, if you're doing some technical products.
Yeah, this is different. That goes already, this whole platform.
Yeah.
electronic type stuff.
Yeah. It really, and people need to see it.
Right.
And it's good if you have a video that actually shows you actually using.
Exactly.
And that's, I was
2
speaking
minutes.
on my website, that's what I do, I make videos that actually show you even, like I got mostly, what is this man doing fashion, but website is just electronics, and I just recently started putting some electronics. On the women's fashion, I would actually show the videos on it, like they have Bluetooth versions, it not only shows you, what it is, what it actually looks like, it shows you the way, not even.
HSN, if you want an example, that
Right.
HSN does a good job.
Oh, I never let them come in. No, no, it's the website.
Yeah, they did,
Very popular.
they did a really good job.
I mean, their TV show, so. Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah, because I do ads, but I only do them for certain, like if I know people, or they've been a client for a long time and they want to do ads, of course I know the keywords, so.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes we only do brands,
Right,
so like the company.
okay.
So if we find that people, so people aren't clicking on their site and they're going elsewhere, I mean, they're still making money
Because
because.
I find that when I search with I go to one website, but it ends up taking you to 4 or 5 different ones.
Exactly.
I don't even want to even be bothered with it.
Exactly.
It's like, why is it so complicated?
Well, also that, it makes you not trust, because what do you expect